Kaiser Family Foundation released this article just the other day. It points out something that you cannot get away from when you're talking about Medicare Advantage. My name's J.O. I'm the author of Maximize Your Medicare. It's a published book you can get anywhere that books are sold. We'll be talking about this article and how this can affect your decision between Medicare Advantage and Medigap coming up next. This article here is called Bill of the Month. Her doctor's office moved one floor up. Her bill was 10 times higher. So I read the article and smiled to myself because, in fact, that the person, Kyung-hee Lee, is Korean. I think that that's very, very safe to say based on names, and as am I. Anyway, she spent decades running a family dry cleaning store outside Cleveland, so that makes her from Ohio, if not northern or southern Michigan, but let's call it Ohio. She freelances as a seamstress. Once a year, she goes to see a rheumatologist who administers a pain-relieving injection of steroid in the joints of these fingers. Her cost for each of these rounds has been roughly $30 for the past few years. So this time, you can see it here. In the late summer, she masked up and went in for her usual shots. Her doctor's office moved up a floor in the medical building. Nothing seemed, everything else the same. Then the bill came. The total bill was $1,394, including a $1,262 facility fee, lifts at operating room services. The bill included a clinic charge and a pharmacy charge. Lee's portion of the bill was $354.68. So, yes, it was 10 times more. That is correct. So this is $30 is what she was accustomed to. And then $354.68. 10 times more. $320. Now, I'm not going to say that $320 is any amount to sneeze at. I totally understand this. This exists not only in Ohio, it exists around the country. Meaning when people are living on Social Security as their main source of retirement income, every dollar matters. Given that, you can see Lee and her family were outraged at the sudden price hike. Substantial bill for her mother and Social Security supplemented income. The issue here is the following. Medicare Advantage is annual contract with a ton of fine print and details. The idea that you went from $30 to $354.68 is not surprising to me here. The simple answer can be because the $30 injection was an office visit to a specialist, a rheumatologist, and instead the facility fee here had to do with a different type of copay due to the fact that the type of healthcare service received was in a different location, strictly speaking. How could this happen? Well, this can happen in a number of different ways, and I'm not sure at the very last detail here. I'm reading the same as you are, which is that you could go from outpatient to inpatient, for example, and then it's just a one day. There could be other types of coding involved here, even if the injection that Ms. Lee received is exactly the same. Under Medicare Advantage, you've got annual contract and number of details. Every single one of them is under the rules of the Medicare Advantage carrier. You cannot get away from this characteristic. Let's compare that to Medigap. Under Medigap, all of these services would be paid in full, except the fact that she would have had to be responsible for the Part B deductible, which is $226. In addition to that, she would have had to pay for Medigap premium. And at 72 years old in where was it? Cleveland, in northern Ohio, that is not going to be an outrageous price relative to the rest of the country. But the idea, let's call that $140. So at $140 times 12, right, you're talking about $1,500 plus $226, meaning your total bill for Miss Lee for the year, let's presume she's Miss Perfect in every other way, would basically be $1,600. Under Medicare Advantage, even though this is upsetting, I can understand that. The difference here is $354. In other words, still a difference of $1,250, give or take. You can understand I'm doing the math off the top of my head. So your takeaways are very, very clear. Medicare Advantage, you're going to have this moving language. You're not in control of the moving language. The seller, the Medicare Advantage carrier, is. Under Medigap, you don't have moving language, because if original Medicare would have covered the amount, whether that be inside of Part A services or Part B services, that once you have satisfied the Part B deductible, unless you're on Plan F or Plan C, then Medigap will cover the entirety. However, you need to be paying the premium for Medigap, which, as I said, $140 a month would be approximately correct for a 72-year-old living in Northern Ohio. This simple example does a very good job of illustrating the differences between Medicare Advantage and Medigap. These differences are inherent, meaning that we're going to change calendar years. It's 2023 now, it's 2024, it's 2025. These differences will remain. In fact, since the beginning of the time when I wrote Maximize Your Medicare 10 years ago, the first edition, this is the way that I have described the comparison between these two options. Not I get these bells and whistles, or not that I get to go see every doctor, etc., etc. That is not actually it, because the reality is that Medicare Advantage networks have improved. For example, the out-of-pocket maximum has declined, the premium has plummeted. So it's actually not that. It is the idea that Medicare Advantage has moving language every year, and the seller is in control, meaning the Medicare Advantage carrier. Under Medigap, you have no moving language. You have a higher premium. That's the choice that you have. Hopefully you found today useful, informative. Be sure to like, subscribe to this channel, and keep up to date.